as content creators around the expansion? Have you put any thought into it, or do you just go with the flow? Zoomi, you're shaking your head. Let's go with you first.
So day one, I'm going to become the Reaper expert. That's my goal. So look out, everybody. But I really fell in love with the class, and I really want to work really hard at trying to make it something that I can like talk about and like speak with some kind of authority on. Because like I'm relatively new to Final Fantasy XIV. December is my 1-year anniversary of this game.
Happy anniversary!
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. And it's during like Endwalker month and stuff. And I already feel like I feel like I got a pretty good grip on Black Mage, but like I want to expand sort of my expertise to another class, and I feel like what better than that to be Reaper, which is a class I really enjoyed, and a class people are probably gonna have a lot of questions about. So I kind of want to do and work on that and try to like familiarize myself with the class and be able to help people understand it better. And I'm going to do that day one versus doing the MSQ day one because I want to let people play it themselves a little bit first. But then I'm going to go to the MSQ and probably do that stuff as well. Maybe as a Reaper, maybe as a Black Mage. We'll see.
There's a lot of experience in the MSQ. So up until those level 90 quests, up until then, you very much you might be tapping between more than one if you're running any extra dungeons, any hunts, fates, side quests, any of that, because they said the MSQ for Endwalker is enough to get you from 80 to 90 on its own. So the time you toss rested experience in the mix and all that other stuff, it is very possible that sub-level 90 quests, you should have a second job in the wings if you're trying to be really optimal. If you don't mind experience falling on the floor and you're level 90 completing the level 89 quest, then don't worry about it. But if you're trying to be optimal, MSQ might require more than one job.
What about you, Joy? What are your plans for the release and afterwards?
So Endwalker will be my first expansion experience. I've been playing since 2019 because the Shadowbringers trailer at the E3 conference actually got me to go home and download it. So if you look at my start time, it was like June 15th, 2019. I was like, yep, I went home and downloaded it. So like I mainly played this game off stream because it was one of those games like I don't like MMOs. That's the only reason why I never played it. Like I knew of it because it's Final Fantasy, obviously. But like I was like, I'm not an MMO person. I don't really want to pay monthly to play this. And then I saw that trailer, and then now it's my life. But like a lot of my playthrough, I've only streamed or like made content out of it very sporadically. Because I wasn't comfortable. It wasn't like a genre that I was like, okay, I can stream this and I know how to be a streamer while also playing the game. Whereas like other games where it's like, I can do both. Like I can play an action game and like, I guess, entertain in a sense. Whereas like MMO, it's like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm going to sit here in silence. But I wanted to change that because I've been seeing so many people catch up to MSQ and do all that stuff. And I was like, man, they all have like their memories in there. And like, I remember my experience when I reached 5.3 and everyone was all like, emotional. I was like, I have nothing to show for that. So I was like, for me, my plan for Endwalker is just to have all my first experience there. Like, I'm going to be doing Sage because I want to, because I feel like I love healing as a class. I'm a main tank on one of my characters. I'm a main Gunbreaker because I'm a Squall fanatic. And so I have a healer, but I'm still not in love with a healer. And then until I started playing Sage, I was like, okay, this seems like the kind of healer that I want because I like busy classes. And so I'm looking forward to just leveling that up right away and going through MSQ with that. And then just taking my time because I was playing catch up until 5.3. 5.3 was literally the first expansion or first patch that I was up to date. And so I was like, I never got to just be there and just experience it with so many people. And if the experience with a patch is so magical, seeing so many different people around NPCs and everything, I can't imagine what an entire expansion is going to be like where nobody knows anything. Because right now everybody knows everything, apparently. And so, but now nobody knows anything. So I'm just looking forward to just being there. I was like, I know like people are going to be avoiding streams and content because they're playing it themselves. But I also just want to be there and just have that for me. And if people want to come in, and because I will be taking my time, they'll be like, where are you at? I was like, oh, here I am. And so I just want to just take it all in and just be excited.
So I think like having played a lot of MMOs and played I've played every expansion launch with the exception of Shadowlands because they moved it just like this and they moved it to a week that I couldn't play. I've played every expansion launch for every MMO that I've been actively a part of. I've played that week, and I've played a lot that week. That's always been something I do. That's how I first got into games. The Burning Crusade was my first ever expansion launch to be there on day one. I started playing WoW like December after it released. And so like I've done that for Guild Wars. I've done that for all these different games. They all, as soon as content creation became a thing, as soon as content creation took off, it feels like you're at this big concert. And the content creators are the ones on stage, but we're all there, we're all partying, we're all having a good time. Final Fantasy is different. It's not a concert. Everybody's there all partying together. And so as a content creator, it's weird because you spend the rest of the year on a stage. You spend the rest of the year performing the content for everybody else. You know, people who didn't like Rich Cobb were struggling with the fact that it wasn't about you, Cobb. It was about the entertainment. UCOB was just the subject that happened. And so it's a neat chance to, so I think like, it sounds like you have exactly, you know, you guys both, this being your first expansion to like, this is a big moment. It's a special moment. And Endwalker being the finale, like I picture visually like that party, like in the Matrix, like where they're all down there and like they think the world's going to end. Like this is it. This is like, of all the parties Final Fantasy could have, this is the party. And so I think it's so beautiful that Yoshi P let us know in advance so that we could all be there. And I think that's why people are upset that it moved, because we were told this was the party of all parties. This is the end of a saga. It's the end of 11 years, 8 years for any of us that joined in 2.0. We have invited a ton of new people in across Shadowbringers and in recent months, and they were all told, you're all equals. Everybody's equals. Everybody. It doesn't matter if you've been here since 1.0, you just got here, you've ever hit publish, you haven't, you've ever cleared a Savage, you haven't. It doesn't matter. We are all equals going into Endwalker to be part of this finale. So I'm really excited about it. I understand why people got upset with the delay, because this is the party, and the quest givers, the people being around, I think it really will be special, especially if there are those kind of like the end of 5.0 moments where we're all standing outside the level 90 trial. And whatever that trial ends up being, knowing that we're getting one, I imagine there's going to be quite a bit of anticipation. I bet running that trial over and over through the early weeks is really special every time you know that it's somebody's first time.
All I ask for content creators here and who are listening, create highlights of the big moments, because once
Please.
I'm done, that's what I'm going to binge on. I want to see in those those moments. I don't know when those moments are as of right now, but I know that they're coming, and I'm like, all right, I can't wait to see that. And one of the things that I'm looking to do, not right away, but at some point, being that this is the end, you know, in that regards, I'm very much looking forward to actually playing through on a new character once the end has been, you know, completed. Once I finish the story, I've been playing this game for 11 years, and I don't play multiple characters, and I don't go replay the story. These aren't things that are ever like, yeah, that's what I want to do. But then having reflected on it, I was like, I don't know when. I'll announce it, I guess, when I decide to make that kind of push, because it is quite a commitment, you know. But I was like, what would it be like in 2022 to play all of Final Fantasy 14, from, you know, ARR to, you know, Endwalker? And I was like, well, let's find out. So that's something I'm looking forward to. When it comes to the jobs themselves, we have obviously, you know, have an interesting setup with Reaper kind of coming into the melee aspect. And then we have Sage. You know, these are two like really awesome looking jobs. Now, you know, Zoomi, you're talking about doing Reaper. Joy, you're talking about playing Sage. Let's talk about Reaper and Sage for a little bit. I'd like to start with Joy. Like, what about when we all played like the dungeons and you were learning Sage? Like, what about it appeals to you as a healer, and why are you looking to actually like play through that over any other healer that is currently in the game right now?
I feel like Sage has so many different utilities, and I have rated on every single healer at the moment. I love Astrologian, but it's to the point where dealing cards and doing all that stuff right now is like, it's a lot. I like busy classes, but that's really busy on the wrist. So it's just like I can only play Astrologian for so long. But I feel like Sage is a good mix between I'm gonna say probably White Mage because his the abilities, the DPS abilities are pretty simplified. Where it's like you do the lasers, and then once your shield breaks, you get the ability to do like Toxicon and all that stuff like that. But then there's the strategy aspect of it that seems a little bit more planned out than Scholar is, because Scholar, you just put your shields on, you just move on with it. Where Sage has so many different types of shields, where it's like, oh, I can do this one single one, and then it gives you 5 stacks to be able to, if you don't use all those 5 stacks from getting hit, then you get heals. So there's just like more options and more opportunities to do different varieties of shields versus just I'm gonna sucker people until they're like, until they're fine. So that's kind of what I like about it. It just seems very technical. And everybody that has come up to me and asked me, oh, like, so should I play Sage? I was like, I don't think it should be your first healer, because I think you have to understand what it takes to be a healer before you can really play Sage. Because like I don't going in there straight up 80 trying to do big pulls, and as you all know, we died.
Yeah, and that was part of the fun. That was part of the fun.
It doesn't help that as a tank, I view death as a sign that we're having fun. If we're not pulling hard enough to feel like death is a possibility, then I'm gonna pull harder. So like I like that like thrill of, oh my god, are we gonna make it? And like by riding that line, every once in a while you're gonna step over it. Like every once in a while you're gonna be like, I think this is the most we can take, and you're gonna be wrong. That's more than you can take. So I pull really hard. So I know that I was like, well, this is my first time meeting Joy, and she'll probably have opinions about me after this.
It was great. I like the challenge, but now, but the funny thing is, I feel like I didn't learn much about Sage until I started doing the video after the fact.
Yeah, sure.
Because I had time to like read the tooltips and everything. I was like, oh yeah, I have a general idea of what to do, but now I'm like, I'm ready. I know exactly what to use in this circumstances, and I'm going to do it. It's going to be great.
My keybinds were all wrong, so I wasn't even using like proper mitigation because I was like, I don't know where that went. It's not even on the right button.
I was clicking through half of the things because I was like, I play on the numpad now. I just got a new one, so I'm just like, I didn't want to spend time during our media tour setting up the buttons. Right. I was like, I will click my way through this entire 7 hours because I just want to play.
I know that would be like the world's lowest first world problem priority, but if they would let people who could attend the media tour import their UI and settings,
oh, that'd be so nice.
And obviously there's new skills, and they would all just fill in the rest of the hotbar, but just like the ability to just, all right, can you just get me everything to 80 where I'm at, and then I just worry about where the new stuff goes, would save a lot of time there, because there is a little bit of like I'm sure a lot of people look at the play, and there's a number of creators like, well, that's the job they normally play. Like they're not doing very well. It's like, yeah, because you're basically on a clock and you got to go. So you just kind of drag things on bars and hit pull. I mean, we did that hunt within the first 10 minutes of being on the server. Like there was no plan there. I was still dragging things out of the action bar onto my hotbars mid pull.
Yeah, and we all survived, and none of us died during that fight at all.
Not even a little bit.
I know. That's why they all gave us the honorary legend title. The only light party to do it at Endwalker. Yeah. We beat the game.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Definitely why some of you were able to change jobs, like the True Warrior Light in the trailer. It wasn't that you were respawning in Old Charlayan and then changing jobs and teleporting out.
I don't know what you're talking about. I was Siege the whole time.